Are you still recording?
Yep.
Hey Blake, you suck. That's going in. That's going right at the start. Hey, welcome to episode 48 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Saveun.
Hey, Nick.
And Blake.
Hi.
How's it going, guys?
Tremendous.
Tremendous.
Good stuff.
It's a huge time to be alive.
Oh, yes.
This is... Well,
How are you doing?
We just got off the back of, like... I'm going to say about 2 hours of talking about recent events, but we're not going to talk about those. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about something a little...
that'll be
more important.
That'll be on the back end of the podcast.
Well, the
Really?
2 hour.
Yeah, that'll be at the 2 hour secret outro.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk video games. Have you guys been playing anything?
Titanfall came out. Titanfall 2.
Oh,
Yep.
snap! I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
I
even
heard
know.
about development of that maybe a month ago, and then
Did it come out with much fanfare?
nothing
Because
else.
I don't know.
the word on the street these days is Battlefield 1 is like the big shit.
Yeah.
It's the same company, same publisher.
EA.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, we're both EA.
Oh man, good time to be EA.
But so it's interesting. I heard someone commenting about this. It's interesting that they've released these two huge multiplayer shooters
Yeah,
at the same time. Because
Yeah.
now, like, they're just competing with themselves.
sure,
Well,
but I
but
mean they're
also
still
call it-
reaping all the benefits, aren't they?
Also, Call of Duty is there. So I think they're trying to eat into that.
But they're not reaping all the benefits. So someone only has so many dollars, right?
Yeah.
Right now, they have two choices, and they can only buy one. Whereas 6 months from now, they if they had that, which is like, I buy Battlefield 1 right now. 6 months from now, I have the money to buy Titanfall. You know, it was just an interesting to see.
Sure,
Maybe it's
Do you think it was just to get some of those Call of Duty dollars?
maybe. I mean, it is Treyarch that made Titanfall, right?
Nope. Respawn.
Right, which is the ex Treyarch people.
Infinity
They're
Ward.
Right.
respawn Treyarch.
Yeah.
They respawned as
Yep.
Yeah, not Treyarch.
So I mean, they are obviously directly competing with their old property.
Mm-hmm.
With mechs.
Oh, dude, it's
Is it good? Have you played it?
yeah, I love it. I like the idea and everything about it, which is why I brought it day one.
I'm gonna
so what's-
close a window
what's
real
different?
quick.
Because oh, dude, it's gonna get so hot in here.
Oh,
No, I'm saying close it. I don't want to.
it's just there's a lot of sirens and
Yeah, it's fine, dude. It adds atmosphere.
We just gonna leave this on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
you're listening to Windowcast.
Yep.
So
I'm a big fan of the idea, sci-fi, giant mechs, first-person shooter,
Dude, right from
wall
Titan-
running, double jumps,
Yeah.
fantastic, sliding now.
Dude, right from Titanfall 1, they did like the whole the mech grabs you in midair and shoves you into its chest. And
Yeah.
it's like that is so cool.
Yeah, the what would they be like? Pilot animations,
Yeah.
like the entering animations, really
Yeah.
really awesome. The exits, fantastic.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like an ejector seat from a freaking jet aircraft.
Yeah, yeah.
now I
so
only
cool.
played a little bit of the first one, but it felt really good. Like the movement in that game felt right, and that was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's more of the same.
But okay, here's my question then.
Mhm.
It's more of the same. Is that worth the purchase?
Yep.
Have they added anything new and that's makes it like, well, you got to get this one?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, I didn't really pay attention too much on the first game.
Okay.
I did buy it and play it and everything.
Yep.
But they have different loadouts, just more really to
Okay.
more weapons. I think.
So it is more of the same, but
Is it grappling
it's
hook?
more better of the same. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah. Well, they just added to it.
When the first one came out, it seemed like people really enjoyed it. A lot of people bought it and played it for about a month,
Yeah,
and then no one ever mentioned it again.
yeah. I tried playing it earlier this year,
Right.
and good luck trying to get into a server.
Right.
There was no one.
So what happened there? Have they done anything to fix it in this one?
I don't know. I think they're just hoping for it to be
A little
to
bit
sell
stickier?
well, and yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know because they are really competing with Call of Duty right now.
Well, they're not just competing with Call of
with
Duty,
Battlefield,
right?
yeah.
And Battlefield and Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
right? Overwatch has beautiful retention
Yep.
mechanics. Like that game's going to be popular for quite a long time.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I like Titanfall and
Okay.
the team making it, so I, of course, went out.
Did I see right that they added mech swords?
Yeah.
Or am I just
think there are
imagining?
swords.
Yeah,
I love it when they go like a high-tech version of a low-tech weapon. It's a laser sword.
It's so-
like that's
yeah.
going to be a practical thing
It's
on a
just a bigger
battlefield.
version of like medieval warriors. Like, okay, cool.
Do you remember how a lot of people were talking about, referencing District 9 when the first one came out? How you had like
yeah, vaguely.
No,
yeah.
I didn't. What was that?
I
didn't
it's more
hear
of the
that.
same. Like South Africans are the bad guys.
Oh, jeez.
Like
Okay.
people with that thick accent.
Yeah.
You had, in District 9 there was that bullet stopping thing.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do
Same
remember
thing.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Weapons.
Cool.
It's very fun. And I'm enjoying it. It definitely, like, on a visual level, looks not as great as Battlefield.
How does it look compared to GTA?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one would you say was better?
It depends. Because, like, I'm still playing through the single player
Oh yeah, right.
of Titanfall, which is very new. They didn't have a single player in the first game.
How is that then?
Yeah, really cool. Because it's like platforming as well.
Yeah?
They're
Oh,
really
yeah.
they're
So it's
really
Mario
wanting
now?
you to run around on walls and
Yeah.
do your double jumps around the
Oh,
place.
that's cool.
So it's kind of like first person platformer.
How many stars have you got?
Stars? 140.
How many pipes? How many
It's a
Goombas
Mario
have you-
But yeah, so there's a thing that happens in video games where you like walk through vegetation and you
Oh.
kind of want vegetation to respond.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
have it in Titanfall, which is a damn shame.
That's a thing that like you really want, but so many games just don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard one because, like, in a video game, you can't have the vegetation act like real
Yeah,
vegetation
it's
because
just-
you'd get injured, you'd lose some life,
Oh right.
it would take a long time to get through it.
Yeah.
It would be broken and mangled by the time you're through.
Also, it's just annoying to have vegetation up in your face in the camera. You can't
Yeah.
see round properly. Like,
Yep.
if it's.
I'm talking about like knee high.
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
vegetation.
I am too. It's
Oh, yeah.
horrible.
Just takes your life
How
off.
did I crawl through it? I don't know.
But yeah, it's kind of sad to see because I I've been accustomed to playing video games where it responds, and
Yeah.
so when I walk through it and it doesn't, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that's a shame.
I remember seeing comparisons of the vegetation in Far Cry 2 compared to the vegetations in Far Cry 3. And they were, like, for its time, actually really good because a lot of the vegetation did, in some way, like, respond how you would think. Like, you'd drive a car through it and would flatten,
Oh, that's cool.
and then compared to 3, didn't really do that at all. It just went straight through your car and you've
In
got...
3,
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
that's what was so shocking.
Huh.
But 3 just looked more beautiful, so it kind of was like, I can, I don't know, I can accept that or something.
Okay.
It's just a bummer to see that kind of thing, I don't know, doesn't happen that often.
What else you guys been playing?
Well, do you want to talk about Battlefield 1 or we?
I haven't actually. I actually went on holiday last week, so
That's why
which
we
is-
didn't have
Oh, dude,
a
where'd you
podcast,
go?
right?
You said you went to Southland.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
actually went to Christchurch and Timaru.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that area. It's beautiful. And
What did you do?
sightseeing mainly, looking at mountains.
Yeah,
that
They
kind
got
of
some
thing.
good mountains.
Gotta
Dude,
get.
yes.
You wanted to get some photogrammetry of those mountains.
Uh,
Get some real big rocks.
we were
Yeah.
we were at the base of Mount Cook, and there was this huge rock. It must have been like it was the size of There's a trail that leads up. It goes to like Fox Glacier, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
You can actually look out to these glaciers.
that's
But at the foot of the path, there was
Yep.
this huge rock, and I was like, Ivy, I have to take a photo of this rock.
Did you take
didn't-
1,000
I've
photos?
taken
No.
photo for this rock from many angles, many times.
It was
I'll be
huge.
here for 2 hours.
It was the size of a bus. It was
Oh, cool.
massive, and it
Cool.
looked out of it because it was just in the field.
Right.
Um,
So, where did that come from?
You should see Uluru. I think.
I don't know. Oh, right.
Yeah.
What Northern Territory?
Yeah, that's a big rock in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh man, speaking of that, maybe we talked about it before, but they get apology letters as rock.
Do they?
Yeah, because people go there and they take
Oh,
bits of it,
right.
and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is great," and then bad shit happens to them, like
Wait, what?
like curse
I've-
stuff, like
I've
bad
heard-
luck, bad fortune happens.
I've heard
And
a
then-
very similar tale about the petrified forest in the United
Oh.
States.
Yeah.
which is basically there was a forest, then sort of some. I think this is maybe a meteor or something. Knocked all these trees down. Knocked all the trees down and rapidly covered them, and they petrified.
Right.
And so there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stone trees.
Yeah.
And people will break off chunks, and then
they
have bad luck.
Yeah.
And then they like mail the chunks back in. Like, I'm
with
sorry.
an apology.
I took this. I'm cursed now.
It's
I'm
great.
hoping that my life turns around.
Yeah. Like apparently, Azrock gets that a lot.
That's called a guilty conscience, and it's good that you have one.
Yeah.
Don't blame it on a curse. If you have,
The mountain's cursed?
yes, I'm saying the mountain.
I guess it's just the idea of like taking something that you feel like you shouldn't.
Well, Uluru does have like spiritual significance for the tribes
that's for sure. Yeah. Also, there is a puppet that gets apology letters as well.
A puppet.
Yep. Well, a little
Is
doll.
it Elmo?
No, it's a doll. It's a most haunted doll in the world. It's called Robert.
Okay.
And he's in a museum.
I think I know this
and
one.
you have to ask him to take a photo of him, and some people don't, and then the same thing happens. Bad luck befalls them, and so they send an apology letter to.
You've
to
been
Robert
listening
the
to
doll.
this.
Jeez,
You've been listening to a.
Dude, I already knew that before that paranormal podcast.
I looked up. I read something about a haunted chair. So, have you heard about that one?
Wait, was it the electric chair from what's it called, Sing Sing Prison or something?
It wasn't.
Or was it just a chair?
It was a wooden chair.
Yeah.
That was outside some pub, and then the guy who used to always sit in this chair in this pub, killed his dad, I think.
Oh Jesus!
And then he was hanged. But first he said, "But nobody's better sit in my chair, or else they're gonna get it."
Oh man.
Something along those lines.
Ooh.
And then, of course, the story goes, every time anybody sat in that chair, they saw horrible visions and then died.
Oh my God.
So it's like, okay. And so they apparently, that chair is now hung up in a museum.
Wow.
So that no one can sit in it, even accidentally. Like,
wow.
it's out of reach of people. Because, like, they say like a cleaner sat in it by accident and then got a brain tumor.
Oh my God.
It's like, well... Okay.
Somebody sat in it, and then 40 years later they died.
that one in particular made me laugh because I was like, okay, so that was a rapid onset brain tumor, was it? Like, and then later that day.
Oh man. Yeah, that rock sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do wonder how he got there. Mount Cook is a volcano, right?
It was quite foggy, so we didn't actually get to see the entire mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know,
I
man.
don't know. That's cool. Yeah.
There were actually lakes around there, so maybe
Right.
that's
There's
something to do
a
with it.
place up north near my hometown that has a whole bunch of, like, it's a big volcano field, and there's a whole bunch of like volcanoes, and all through there is just like massive ass rocks that were thrown up like, thousands of years ago. They're just sitting around in fields.
Very cool.
Yeah.
For people who don't know much about New Zealand, Auckland is literally like covered in volcanoes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
like 11.
It's
volcanoes?
kind of
Yeah.
crazy. You don't. I've never lived in a city like this where it's just like
Are you worried?
you look at those hills and then
And you're like, there's a volcano.
Okay, my story is I walked to the top of Mount Eden.
Yep.
Because I was on like a date or something like that, and
Ooh.
I thought it was just a hill, and we get to the top of the hill, and there's
There's a big
this
crater.
giant dip in it. I'm like, oh, that's neat. Oh, this is a caldera. Oh, I'm standing on a volcano.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And then you go out to Mission Bay and you look out across the water. And you're
Yeah.
like,
there's
wait
this
a minute.
huge volcano.
Huge ass volcano there.
It's
It's great.
It's worth visiting. If you don't know anything about New Zealand, you should just check it out.
And you can
Have a look.
put up with crappy drivers in Auckland. Yeah. Come out to Auckland.
If you live in LA, it's going to be a huge improvement in the drivers. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
Oh man!
Don't rely on public transportation here. It's not a thing.
If you live in LA, it's going to be a huge improvement
Oh,
in
yeah?
public transportation.
Public transport. It's gotten a little bit better.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's gotten better for
All right.
me.
Oh, but
For
this
people
is,
on the North Shore that have no like train out there, yeah, forget it.
This is the most irrelevant podcast
Yeah.
Oh,
for
yeah, sure.
anybody outside.
what are you guys been
You want to talk
playing?
about that coffee place we just went to down on that street next to Albert Park?
Let's talk video games. Hearthstone has a new expansion out.
Oh yeah, what do you think?
Or it's not out. They've announced it.
What do you think?
Let's talk BlizzCon real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like,
Thank you, Blizzard, for announcing your plans for Diablo 3.
Oh, right.
Yep.
yeah, that was kind of a
Worried.
weird move.
Good stuff. We've gotten some players from it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Really? How do we know that? Oh, we just see it.
Well,
The numbers.
there was some of that, but there's also like
Write-ins, people saying.
just on Reddit, people like a lot of there were a lot of posts that were like, oh, hey, I just came over from Diablo 3 after
Wow.
I saw what their plans were for BlizzCon, and I'm so disappointed.
Oh, wow.
So what's the deal with your game?
What was everyone hoping for a Diablo 4?
There were
that-
definitely people who were hoping for Diablo 4.
Yeah.
There were people who were hoping for an expansion to Diablo 3.
Yeah.
There were just people who were hoping that there would be something that would dramatically change the state of Diablo 3.
Rather than a paid-for class. A
Yeah.
class of DLC, basically.
Yeah.
It also makes me wonder, are they planning Diablo 3 to become more of a microtransaction-heavy game? Because, I mean,
question.
the sales, that was like, 5 years ago or something. So, and a lot of people who still play it, but
I think
how
it
are they
will
getting money out of it?
I think it will greatly depend on the success of the Necromancer.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's no one, I don't think a price has been announced yet, but I think people are reacting to an expected price of like $20 or $30. It could be less than that. It could be more. It could be this. Could be that much. A class in Diablo 3 takes quite a lot of work because it's like
Well, it's just cut and paste from Diablo 2, isn't it?
that like
It's just cut and paste from Diablo 2, isn't it? It's a necromancer.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, in our game, our skills are detached from the characters. So
Yeah.
when we put out a new skill, it's its own independent thing. But a character in Diablo 3 has to come with all of these skills, and on top of that, it has to come with its gear.
Yep.
Like it's got to come with its own whole progression
Yeah.
system. So it's actually, when you look at the amount of work involved, it's quite a bit of content. But I don't, from a player's experience standpoint, it's not necessarily going, like you can't look at your witch doctor and go, well, thanks to the introduction of the necromancer, my witch doctor now does this. It's just like, yep, there's a different thing to use.
Yep.
And if you don't like it,
You don't have to buy it.
then you don't buy it. Yeah, you don't have to buy it. And if you did buy it and you don't like it, then you're out of money.
Yeah.
It's so they could very well go down the course of adding new characters for like semi regularly and charging for it.
Yeah.
But it's going to depend on the success of the Necromancer.
What did you? Because we just watched a IGN video of their Diablo 1
Yeah,
remake
it,
patch.
I'm going to say
What would you call
it's
that? Reskin?
their
Reimagination? Reinvention?
keep going. I'm
Redux.
Throwback. Rebound.
it's their sort of ode to history, right?
Yeah,
It's
their
just
love letter to Diablo
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, that's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
And it looks cool to me. Like,
Yeah.
I know you looked at it and were very disappointed because I actually don't know what your expectations were.
I'm not sure what my expectations were as well, but it wasn't
You were
that.
sad. You said you hoped it looked better than that.
I was like, oh, this is like Diablo 1.
yeah. Oh, this is what they said it would be.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
I think because what did they say? Like the degrees of movement or something would be like how they are in Diablo 1.
Yeah, like
They're
it
not
doesn't.
like-
It doesn't. It's not a 3D model that rotates.
Yeah.
It's like it's 8 axes
Yeah.
of a.
And so when I
Sprite
watched
or something.
BlizzCon, in my mind, he was making a joke.
Oh.
I was like, haha, that would be funny. That's crazy. Why would you think that? Of course it's going to be 3D. That's ridiculous. That
Right,
it's not.
but it's not.
And then when I saw it, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it is totally like Diablo 1.
I think
sure.
it's
Like,
neat to me. Like
Yeah.
I look at that and I go, that's cool. Like they actually kind of nailed the aesthetic.
I guess I was hoping for more of an actual like Diablo 1 reimagining than just like
You wanted it to be Diablo 1 as done by the Diablo 3 team.
yeah.
As opposed to Diablo 1
like an upscaled, up-res
with
version
with
of it.
better graphics.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and the Diablo 3 characters.
Yeah.
Right. But is there really that much of a difference between those two things? I don't know. Like, to me, it's just it's what they said it would be.
It is
They
what
did
they
a
said it
good
would
job
be.
of
Yeah.
doing it. If you loved Diablo 1,
I
then
guess
this is looking like it's going to be
I
fun.
guess what I wanted was the things I liked about Diablo 1
Yeah.
and not the things I didn't like about Diablo 1, which
Okay.
was a lot of that, like that
What-
movement stuff and
What did you like about Diablo 1?
like the environment. I guess I
Yep.
wanted
There is an environment. You're not in a
there is
gray
an environment
box.
now. It looked great.
Uh-huh.
But I guess I just kind of bummed that I don't know. It moves like Diablo 1.
But that's part of the
That
charm.
is what exactly what they said it would be. But I don't know. It's fine. I guess I was hoping of more of a game than rather just a little I don't know.
I mean,
experience.
You did.
Is it the full game or is it just like just
It's a certain number of levels of a dungeon.
Yeah.
I think it I don't
Well,
remember the exact
like
details.
honestly, when I started watching BlizzCon, I thought, and they were talking about the Diablo anniversary, I was like, they're going to come out with an anniversary edition that's in the Diablo 3 engine, and it's going to be, Diablo 3 movement and all that, and
Right.
all the modern like things that are easy to use,
Yeah.
functionality.
Yeah,
Um,
you're thinking it's gonna be a beautiful HD
Yes.
Diablo 1 with all of the modern features
Yes,
that we've come to
all the
know and
modern
love.
features, all the modern conveniences.
Right.
I was hoping for something like that,
Yeah,
but instead it's just sort of this like,
it's a cheaper version of that.
yeah,
They did it
is for
within
sure.
with the tools they had.
yeah,
Yeah, I can see why you would then be disappointed.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think that
I mean, it's
there would definitely be a large audience who would be disappointed by what you wanted, right?
Probably.
They would be looking, but being able to move on more than 8 axes.
this isn't the Diablo one
this
I
is
remember.
upsetting.
I guess what I wanted was what I remember Diablo 1 being rather than what Diablo 1
Right.
was.
Yep, probably.
Like I remember it being amazing looking and it was fully 3D and you could move all over the place and
Right. It's
but
none of those things.
it wasn't at all.
None of the things you said were true.
No, it wasn't. But that's how that's just how memory is,
Yep.
I mean, I remember Diablo 2 looking amazing, and then a few years back when I went back to it, I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. They also announced the Hearthstone thing, right?
Blizzard.
Yeah.
So this is your big thing. Like,
Mean-
what did you think
Mean
of it?
Streets of Gadget Zen is what it's called. It's a new set of 130 something cards. They've shown off, I'm gonna guess maybe 30 of them so far. I'm a bit apprehensive.
Yeah.
I was really excited for the last expansion, but that one's been the least exciting one for me so far.
How do you feel about the theme?
Theme wise, I actually think this is probably the weakest one yet.
Okay.
Because it's not grounded in anything that players are familiar with.
That's true, because I found it strange that, like, Gadgetzan is not a big city.
No, Gadget Stand is a little tiny outpost in Tanaris with an auction house.
There's like 6 houses.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're like
It's
showing
like-
it as if it's this sprawling metropolis. Like they're basically showing it's fantasy New York.
Yeah, when you go there, like I remember when you went there in Vanilla WoW,
Yeah.
you'd go there, there'd be some quests like there that would take you to the coast where there'd be a few more quests.
Yep.
And then you'd kind of run out of steam like about 5 levels in. And then you'd go you'd have to sort of march across the desert and
Yeah,
get to the
oh my God.
Ungoro.
You look down into that crater
crater.
and go, "Wow, this looks crazy down here."
Yeah, and you go down there and there'd be that's where you spend a lot more time.
Yeah.
Tanaris, you'd go there to try and sell pets on the auction house that the Alliance couldn't get, basically.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, it's so weird that they then, like in Hearthstone, are like, actually, it's this giant city that isn't.
Not just that, but that there's like 3 crime families and there's all this lore that just doesn't actually
There's
show
a
up.
bunny rabbit that I don't think exists in WoW at all. The rabbit man. There's a rabbit man.
What?
There's a bunny rabbit man. The rabbit man.
Are you high right
You
now?
just keep saying it, Blake.
There's a rabbit man.
I think he's
There's a
losing it.
man rabbit.
Half man, half rabbit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Half pig. Man
You
rabbit
didn't notice
pig.
that. There's a rabbit man. There's no rabbit man in
You keep
Warcraft.
saying rabbit man.
It's a rabbit man.
A what?
A rabbit. A rabbit man.
I'll take your word for. I mean, I wasn't like looking at the.
I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, show me.
You're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's
yeah,
rabbit man.
probably. My reaction will probably be like, okay, yeah, you're right. So the thing that is a little bit worrying to me when I'm looking at like card games like Magic, and they bring out a new set, there's usually like a few new mechanics, and these new mechanics are used throughout the set at like different rarity levels, and they sort of inform the theme of the set in some way, right? So if we look at like the most recent expansion of Magic called Kaladesh, there are vehicles. This is a mechanic where you can use you play these artifacts, which are usually kind of cheaper than they might ordinarily be, and you can turn them into creatures with like quite good stats. But the cost is you have to have creatures on the board that basically pilot the vehicles. So normally you'd pay like 5 mana for a 5/5, but you can pay 3 mana for a 5/5. But in order to use the 5/5, you have to have a creature that with like a 3/3 to crew the vehicle.
Okay.
Right. So you get a discount on the actual stat line.
But you have a requirement.
But the cost is you have to have some other stuff on the battlefield. And then they've got this other thing called Fabricate, where you can either boost a creature up and make it bigger, or you can get a bunch of little mini weenie creatures alongside it. And there's this modality choice there, where it's like, which one do you want? This set has sort of got a little bit of that. There's this like boost cards in your hand mechanic, but they've also had stuff that does stuff to the cards in your hand before, and it's not as like clearly defined and structured as like a Magic set does its mechanics. Like sometimes it boosts a random card, sometimes it boosts all of the cards in your hand, sometimes it boosts a specific type of card in your hand. And there are some interesting mechanics that you can have with that, where there's a card that when you play it, you get 2 copies of it next to each other. So if you manage to boost it while it's in your hand, it comes out much stronger, and the copies are also stronger, right? But it's kind of it's a mechanic that could be in any set,
right?
It doesn't have anything to do with the gang family, the families, right? When I look at the Kaladesh set and I'm going, oh, there's these vehicles, and the thing about Kaladesh is the racing is a big part of the culture, and it's about the engineering. And I look at the Magic set, and it's like there's this boost your card in your hands mechanic.
And how does that relate to the
and then
the
separately
gangsters?
to that, there's these 3 crime families.
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah.
And this was a problem in the previous set where the theme was there are these old gods, and there was a series of cards that boosted one of the old gods and made it really strong, and then the other 3 old gods had mechanics that would influence how you build your deck, but there was no follow through on the rest of the cards in that set.
There was no real like old god deck, right? There was no.
Yeah, not really. It was like there
that.
were a bunch of old god deck archetypes where it's like I'm using a Nazoth deck. I'm using that one old god. I'm using a Cthulhu deck.
Yeah, but they're just cards like sprinkled throughout.
Right.
They're not like
there's no.
This is a themed deck.
Right. Once if you took those cards, if you took the 4 old gods out of that set, I would have a really hard time saying, "Oh, that deck could have only existed in Whispers of the Old God."
Yeah.
And I have I'm a bit worried that this set's going to be a little bit like that, where I'm gonna if you take out a few of these like crime family cards or whatever, you take out. I mean, again, we haven't seen the whole set, so it's a bit hard to tell. But I'm just worried that you won't be able to look at a deck and go, "This could have only existed during this era of Hearthstone."
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because then aren't they doing the whole like their tournaments will be set in like
they've got these year cycle
yearly
things.
yeah
Right now, the year of the Kraken. Who knows what the next one's going to be?
right
And they remove cards from the playable pool for standard and add new cards in, and that has to happen in order to keep the game fresh and exciting.
Yeah,
and I think you need to have interesting and quite drastic mechanical and thematic shifts with each of these sets. Otherwise, it's literally like, okay, so I've lost my 5-4 for 3, but now I've got a 4-5 for 3, or what? It's like, like that's basically what we're looking at. Some stat line changes. We're looking at a couple of new mechanics, but I'm not going, this is what a strange direction for this game to take. This is so cool. Whereas, like, sometimes, and it's a risk to do that. Sometimes Magic does that, and it's a bit of a failure.
Yep. But it's interesting, at least.
But yeah, it makes it exciting and fresh, and it makes it worth keeping up to date on. And I don't know that Hearthstone's not doing that right now for me.
Maybe these other cards you were just talking about, but they talked about dual class cards.
Yeah. So this is the one sort of mechanical. Basically, they're making cards that multiple classes can use, but more classes can't. Right now, you've got your class cards, which only that class can use, right? If you're a priest, you've got these set of priest cards that only the priest can use. So there's these set of 9 cards, 9 out of 130, doesn't seem like that many. And they're cards that 3 classes can use.
Okay.
Which means... And the 3 classes are sort of loosely tied to
the families,
the theme of the families.
Yeah,
but even then, it's kind of like, what? So, like, there's, I think it's called the Cabal, I think might be one of them. And it's like mage, warlock, priest. Cool. They're all casters.
Ones,
yeah. And then there's like the Jade Lotus, and that's like druid, shaman. So right there, you're like, okay, Natri, and then rogue. And you're like, huh?
Yeah, they're the assassins, right? They're the ones in the background that,
right, ninjas, but then also shaman,
ninjas.
or Natri, but also rogue.
yeah.
And then
what would you put in that place though? Like,
I would probably have put hunter.
Oh yeah, actually, good
right.
Yeah, they're far more Natri than
right.
rogues.
Yeah, and then you could have because druid also has a beast theme, hunter has a beast theme.
Yeah.
Shaman has a totems theme, which isn't like quite the same level, but you can see that there's like a be with the earth theme there, right? Instead, they've got the third faction, which is warrior, paladin, and hunter.
Yep.
And there's like the bruisers or something like that. So warrior, I totally get bruiser. Paladin, kind of bruiser, but kind of honorable.
Yeah, but also like a very like strengthy melee type.
Yeah.
And
then hunter,
smash stuff with a sword.
Hunter, stand at the back of the pack.
Yeah,
shoot stuff with your pet.
I think maybe an assassin would have probably made more sense there because at least they're meleeing things. There's some way.
Right there. Maybe there's some element of the theme that hasn't come out yet that's going to really solidify why these class choices were made. Maybe there's mechanical reasons these class choices were made. The net result, though, is that while using certain cards, you can use them to gain access to cards from other classes, which is sort of a novel feature for a lot of the classes, but if you've been playing rogue or priest, not new at all. That's really like it. Yeah, it's really hard for me to look at this and go, they're adding a new experience because they're adding a new experience in spots and then sort of retreading old ground.
It sounds like that's just like your opinion of what they've been doing in the past. Like you say, old gods, and you're just like, well, there's some new cards, but there's nothing that really stands out to me as old godsy. And
right, it's more like I for old gods, a lot of the cards I look at it and I say this doesn't. If I looked at this deck list 3 years from now, would I go, oh, this was what a strange time for Hearthstone? I don't think I will. I'll just go, yep. That was when they had the 4 old god cards, and sometimes they were used. And then there were the rest of the cards in the pool. Which
what expansion of theirs do you think had the strongest sort of theme where you could look at a deck and say this deck could only exist because of these.
It's a fair question. Goblins versus gnomes was quite identifiable because mechs were a theme. Before Goblins versus Gnomes, mechs didn't exist. There were cards that were robot themed, but they didn't have the mech archetype. And then they introduced the mech archetype, and there were mech decks, and they were really dominant for a little while. Then Grand Crusade, which was the expansion that came out after that, had the Inspire mechanic, and that one was a little bit weaker in terms of its effect on how people use the cards, but at this point they didn't have like standard, so they still also had the mech cards, right? And I think the set before that was pitched a little bit high in terms of power, so it made it hard for the Grand Tournament to make a big impact on the gameplay. But they had the Inspire mechanic, and you could make an Inspire deck where you're using your hero power often to do crazy things.
So you could clearly make a deck that was all around this one thing.
And you could look at that and you'd go, look, they've got all this mech synergy, and then whenever they use their hero power, this crazy thing goes off. This can only have existed during this era.
Yep.
And then they introduce the old gods, and you're like, yep, there's those 4 old god cards and some other ones.
Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. It doesn't really matter. Everyone's still doing zoo decks.
And then I'm worried that this next thing's going to come out and you're going to go, yep, there's those 9 class hybrid cards, and whatever. I hope they prove me wrong, because I love Hearthstone.
What do you hope to see next from them? Their next expansion? Do you?
I would like to see another large mechanical shift like Inspire.
Yep.
Where you can it's a mechanic that requires you to not just build your deck in a different way, but play your cards in a different way. Yeah,
Murloc
that's all. A Murloc expansion would be interesting.
That'd be fantastic. I love a Murloc expansion.
If it were like another tribal one, like rather than having just mechs being introduced, if it were like Murlocs and mechs versus beasts and dragons or something like that, right?
Something crazy.
And there are cards that work with both Murlocs and mechs, and cards that work with both beasts and dragons, and you build your deck around the combination of tribes or something like that. Then that's something I'm talking about. Like you look at that deck and you go, I can see the era this came from. I can see the theme.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to see. What else?
So there was the thing that really surprised me the most from BlizzCon was the DeepMind AI that they want to implement into StarCraft. Google's DeepMind, the one that
I didn't
really
hear about this. Tell me more.
So, dude, so I caught them. They announced that they were going to do.
You caught them.
I caught them. They announced that they were going to do this, and unfortunately, I missed the panel where they actually talked about it.
Yep.
And I can't find that online. And I can hardly find any information about it.
Are you sure you didn't just have a dream?
Maybe. No, but it's happening. And it sounds very interesting to me, because I guess for people that don't know, the DeepMind AI is the Google's machine learning AI that beat the the Grandmaster of Go or something.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I find interesting, because I heard about what the guy was saying, this Grandmaster was saying about playing that AI.
Yep.
He was saying it was like playing against a completely alien being, because it was making moves that didn't make any sense. It was not, I guess, the meta or whatever of the current kind of game, not
but
it was conventional thing.
It was looking so many moves.
Yeah,
in advance
that's
or
the
whatever.
thing. It was making moves that he's just like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. It
And they
seems
would
random.
win.
And then 100 moves down the track,
It all pays off.
yeah, it all made sense.
Yeah.
And for stuff like something like that
That's cool.
in StarCraft would be fascinating
Yeah.
to watch. Because people
Absolutely.
already do that. They do the proxy gateways and stargates and things like that. Things that if they get caught doing it at the time, it'll wreck them.
Yeah.
But if they manage to, keep it hidden and hide what they're doing, that first move pays off huge later on.
It's also interesting because much of game strategy only comes from the meta, right?
Yeah.
You play responsively to your opponent, and you learn their tactics, and you build your strategy around their tactics or whatever, right? So if you're playing against something that isn't playing responsively or is playing with a much longer game in mind, that meta just becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Well, it also
fascinating.
does that then just change the meta to be more like different.
Yes,
Again,
it
just changes
absolutely-
the meta to be
it has
different.
to, right?
Yeah. And
You then start looking for weaknesses in the AI. You start looking at like, well, if it's planning such a long game, you have to go for the short game or something like that.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. But then I mean, it is machine learning, so it
Yep,
can
and then it'll adjust.
adjust to
That's
that.
fascinating.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
if
implementing
this
that
wasn't
into
just some
StarCraft,
crazy
oh my
fever
God.
dream you'd had, I would be very
No,
interested.
it's true. But what I really want to see now coming up is, remember when I was talking about Mugen gambling?
Yes.
I want to see a league.
A deep mind.
Yeah, I want to see Deep Mind versus Deep Mind, like esports,
Oh,
where it's
right.
like this team has trained their AI this way.
Yeah.
This team has trained their AI this way. Battle it out.
This is just Robot Wars. With
It is
video
Robot
games.
Wars, but with AI instead of
That show
remote
already
control.
exists.
No, Robot Wars is just remote control. It's still a human
That's
being.
true. That's true.
This is pure like AI stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's be amazing. And a completely separate to video games.
Yeah.
There is a racing division called Formula E.
Sorry, I was thinking of clowns.
Clowns? Oh yeah, no,
No, carry on.
that comes later.
Oh, come on. Come on, man. Racing?
Yeah. So have you heard of Formula E?
Nope.
It's electric car racing, basically.
Oh,
Yeah, called
I
Formula
get
E,
it.
right?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But
Oh, because of electricity.
the
Classic.
The E stands for energy.
The E stands for e-car.
Yeah. The E stands for electrifying watching.
Yeah.
So they are starting to have. They want to have purely AI driven cars. Like not
Yeah.
throughout the whole league. I mean, this is just a subset of it. But they want to start developing AI driven cars,
Right.
and it's the exact same thing where it's just this team has this AI car, this team has this AI car. Let's see who wins.
But okay, it's a fascinating idea. But then, could you not just then put that AI into a simulation
Yeah.
of a racetrack
You
and get the results in a fraction of a time?
You could, but the crashes won't be as spectacular.
If, theoretically, I mean, if they're crashing, that AI is bad.
Yeah.
Right? That needs to be replaced.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There should be no crashing.
There should be no crashing.
So it's gonna be boring as hell to watch.
I don't know. Well, I hope it isn't.
It's gonna be like watching. It's like gonna be like watching a well-run public transit
It's like,
system.
oh wow, all these cars are so.
Yeah, look at that. They're
But,
so
I mean,
efficient.
how much? But yeah, but if they're doing that, then they're not competitive. They got to take risks. They got to take chances. They got to calculate. Oh, I have a 90% chance
True.
of overtaking this guy. Oh, the 10% happened and I crashed.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's
I would love to watch how that happens. Like if that's a thing that exists, that'd be cool.
that. Yep.
but
Well, it doesn't exist yet.
right.
I think we're closer to the StarCraft thing happening
Cool.
than the Formula E happening.
I would be very interested in watching DeepMind play StarCraft.
Oh man, I would be amazed. It would.
I would love to watch DeepMind play like a Dota or a League of Legends
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Because and I think just implement like if they can implement this well into StarCraft, then they could just like have some sort of games division of their AI to like sell to games companies.
Right.
Like I was talking to Sav before how the AI in Overwatch is real bad.
Is there even AI in
There is
Overwatch?
AI. I mean, it is a multiplayer game, but I mean the AI
I'm trying to think.
in Overwatch.
Yeah.
They instantly, as soon as you peek even a little tiny like pixel around a corner, they instantly know where you are and will just shoot the shit out of you.
Okay.
That's not cool. Like and it means for other games like Total War.
Yeah.
I managed to create a strategy in Total War that pretty much won 90% of the time because the AI always does the same thing.
Yeah.
If I was
Right.
playing against an AI that learned stuff, and they could have different AI for different factions,
Right.
with different
motivations
motivations and things, and
more aggro versus more defensive.
and then
sure.
suddenly, I've been doing this one thing that's been paying off, but holy shit, now they've adjusted to it.
It makes me think. Have you ever? Like, I used to go to like birthday parties in high school or whatever, and
I don't believe it.
In high school? Oh yeah, okay.
Carry on.
You had friends?
no, it was my birthday party. I was the only one there. I used to go to these like friends' houses, and we'd have like Super Smash Brothers.
Oh right.
And we'd go 4 AIs and watch them duke it out.
Yeah.
And like,
how long would a match like that last?
It depends on how many stocks. Sometimes we put it up to 99.
Oh my god.
just
watch it.
That would just be running in the
I
background.
feel like
while
you
we're
just
eating
have it in
chips
the
or whatever.
background while you're drinking.
Yeah, pretty much. In
pretty
fact,
great.
I New Year's Eve a couple years ago, we did a drinking game based around this.
Oh, cool.
But that's sort of similar to what you're wanting, but it already exists. It's just not like a deep mind level of AI. However, Smash Brothers AI is really good. I was playing Smash Brothers on the Wii U.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, because we use AI for Path of Exile for our monsters, and it made me look at
How complex is our AI?
Good question.
It depends.
Yeah.
It's all RNG, man. It's crazy.
Oh man. Yeah.
There is some RNG to it, but
Running in the opposite direction sometimes. Just
I
knows what you
assume
get.
I would suspect that the best AIs do have some randomness to
Oh
it
no. I
to
think so
keep
too.
it a
Random.
little unpredictable, right? If you know exactly what your opponent's going to do, that's not very good
oh
AI.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But that's what makes the Smash Brothers AI quite interesting, is because I don't fully understand how. I suspect it's got to do with like proximity, orientation, and like what the opponent's action is at any given time determines what the AI is going to do. But they do it in such a way that like it feels fair. It doesn't feel like the Overwatch.
Yeah.
They already know what you're going to do and you're dead before you hit the ground. You know? It's some fascinating stuff. AI is interesting.
Yeah. And, I mean, that Mugen gambling thing just shows how much people are willing to watch AI fight each other for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And gamble fake money on it.
Or it just shows how sad people are sometimes.
Yep. But dude, I had to pull myself away from
case
that.
in point. Case in point.
Goku versus like SpongeBob, man. Don't you want to know who wins?
Omega Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
All right. We're probably running out of time, but we've got some fan mail and some questions. Is there anything you guys want to talk about first?
Not really.
No?
No. I was gonna say Red Dead stuff, but no.
Well,
But the only reason I bring that up was because we were pretty light on it last time, and a reason for it was
there wasn't very much information.
well, I wasn't really
Wasn't
feeling the
very
vibe in the room. I didn't.
I told you I like Red Dead. What else do you need to know?
Prequel apparently.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, now we know how it ends.
Sorry,
It's
I'm
the start
sorry,
of-
guys.
It's the start of Red Dead Redemption.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
Did we talk about the whole like Magnificent Seven theme that seems to be maybe happening with it?
I don't actually know much about that. What did you hear about it?
I mean, there's 7 characters, isn't there?
Well, the 7 in the poster are different from the 7 in the trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, you've done some
Man, they just can't keep it straight, can they?
I know. It's really
continuity.
who
Is out
knows?
the
Amateur hour over
Who
there.
knows what's happening? Anyway, let's do questions.
So you don't want to talk more about it? Like,
oh, jeez.
dude, the vibe is good right now.
I like the visuals, the graphics, but no one wants to hear me go on about graphics.
It's interesting you bring this up. We have some fan mail.
Let's do it.
Oh, do we?
This is from Rian. Rian, that's Ryan. This is from Ryan, who we work with. He apparently is a fan. He sits behind me. He could have just told me this. But instead, he emailed us.
He didn't want to talk to you.
I don't remember what he's referring to here, so
Right.
maybe you can fill in some gaps. But I like how it starts. Here we go.
Oh.
I think Nick was right 100% of the time this podcast.
And that's the fan mail.
That's all I wrote. No.
Jeez.
I don't know. I don't remember which
That
podcast.
must have been Oh, geez, I actually don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was
I think it was the last episode.
Yeah, it must have been the lead one. Or I don't remember what I said.
Was it the one about Disney? Was it the one where you came back?
No, it's about you doing what you want to do in role-playing games. Not having to do it. Not having the game tell you have to do it. You having...
I don't remember any of this.
Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we'll piece this together.
It's a bit long. Let's roll through it. Battlefield 1 on ultra settings in 4K is probably the single greatest thing I've ever seen in a video game in my life. Mm-hmm. But a large part of that is due to the fact that they did an incredible job of optimizing their engine. The fact that my PC can run it so well after 4 years is an absolute joy.
Oh, that's pretty good.
My main worry with Red Dead Redemption is that, like most Rockstar games, it will probably look fantastic, but they're generally massive resource hogs, and I'll probably have to settle for medium-high.
Oh. Do you want a rebuttal?
It's not done!
Are you just going to answer the whole thing afterwards? It's like, all right,
yes.
Let's go back to...
Point by point.
Point one.
Do you want to...
I don't think Battlefield looks... No, it's got really good rendering. But their character model sucks.
Are you playing it on 4K, though?
No.
I mean, he's playing it on some insane...
I question your
craziness.
setup, Ryan. I've been talking to you about your computer, I think. Yeah. Well, let's keep going.
I would trust the programmer to know more about his computer.
Ryan?
And how to make that thing
but
run well.
Ryan's borderline programmer. No.
What?
No, keep going.
He's full programmer.
He is a programmer.
I know.
He said, "I've been wanting to get into Nintendo games for a long time, but I've never been able to decide which console I'm supposed to get. I can definitely relate to the idea that they're competing with themselves." By the way, he just bought a 3DS.
Oh,
so he's getting into Nintendo games. Good on you, Ryan. They're very fun.
Gone with a PSP. PSP Go.
I'm just gonna let that hang. Hope you feel that hot, burning shame on your neck.
You're staring daggers at me.
In regards to Red Dead Redemption 2, I'd wager that dog versus vulture scene would either A, play once during the first time you enter the area, or B, replay just about every time you enter the area. It's a common mechanic in games like Witcher 3, Skyrim, or Assassin's Creed, and it gets pretty tiring after a while.
I mean, it could simply be just a one-off part of a one-off cutscene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you reckon it's more like... it seemed like you were leaning towards like crazy AI interactions on a subtle level.
D-mine on that dog.
The cool thing Rockstar games have is like, yes, that they could start that way, but you can also interrupt them and have interesting things play out from that. And their animation system's legit. It's on point. So it's fully physics-based. So yeah, sure, you could watch it play out. Or
you're hoping you can be able to then kick that dog, and then it reacts in a different way, and then it might just go back to eating that whatever.
Sure. Ryan, The Witcher, don't use those. don't compare Rockstar games to CD Projekt Red games. It's not fair to Rockstar.
No, compare them to Saints Row. That's more of a
do it that way.
Yeah.
And Call of Warriors.
Oh,
but I'm sure it does play out multiple times. You'll reuse things. Sure, you'll probably see it a couple times, but in the first Red Dead, I don't know. It just looks like there's more animal situations playing out like that. I don't know. I'm waiting
animal
to
situations.
see more.
Cool. Yeah.
Like it's too early to say anything about.
Yeah, I mean it totally is. We're trying to dissect a trailer and try to figure out what the game will be like on something that didn't really show actual gameplay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all in game, but it was not actual gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the GTA trailers. I don't think we saw. I don't know if we ever actually saw gameplay from a GTA trailer.
But I mean, I guess you can,
Wait, yeah, they did it with 5, 2 of them.
No, they'd used in-game assets, and they had like cinematics from like the
I can find
the
it for
intro
you.
and quest stuff. I don't remember. Is there ever a scene where someone's like running into a car and getting in and driving around? Or
I'll find it for you. Yes,
Okay.
it starts with an airplane and a woman narrating over it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you carry on.
I mean, that was
Cool.
that was pretty close to gameplay for sure. I think.
Yeah, it
that
had
trailer
HUDs
that
and
you're
everything.
talking about,
all right, neat.
yeah.
Well, when they do that for Red Dead, that'll be good. We've also got some fan mail from Christoph.
Okay.
This is specific to Path of Exile. Finally, get into the maps. New tiles look awesome. Factory/Oasis are the ones I've seen so far, and there is one where it's forest, and then you go above in an old channel-esque looking tile set. I think Blake's work on this is. I think Blake's work on this exclusively. Oh, I think Blake. Sorry, I'm totally reading this like an idiot. I think Blake works on this.
Oh,
I think he worked on it. Yeah,
I do. I mean, it's my job. What I do. It's what I do. All in a day's work.
I think he's saying
nailed it, Christoph.
You did a good job. And then he said,
thanks. That's actually really good to hear. Thanks.
Also, can you give the person a high five who did the game freeze with the Shaper monologuing? Totally awesome.
Oh, who did that?
Who does the trailers?
Was a mixture of myself, Reese, and Jonathan. I wanted some pausing action stuff for quite a while. I'd pitched basically a league that sort of revolved around this mechanic.
Bullet time.
Sort of. But there are issues with it. Like, it's hard to make it work in multiplayer for long periods and stuff. And then when I wanted to do some like monologuing during the quests, Jonathan suggested we do the freeze frame thing for that, and I was like, yes, let's definitely do that. And then Reese actually made it happen. So that's a good job to the three of us, mainly me. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Yep.
King of the world right here.
Wait, hold on.
No.
You brought up something
Running
interesting.
for office.
Oh, whoa.
Jeez, man.
What? Grinding Gears office?
All of them. I'm running for all offices.
Oh, man.
They're all going to be mine.
Nick, you brought up an interesting thing just now. Multiplayer freezing time.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing that?
Basically, it's pausing everything that's happening in the instance.
Right.
For a set, it pauses it for a set period of time at the start of
monsters.
the event. Not just monsters, players, everything.
Is
everything
that
in the
annoying,
instance.
though? How annoying would that be for players?
Well, they don't see, they can't do anything. So everything is paused. Then this animation is playing.
Oh, okay.
So they see and hear the shaper,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything continues. However, if you try and join an instance during this time, you just get stuck on the load screen until it's unpaused.
Not good.
Which is why it's not very long, and it's why we don't use it very often. Well, it's part of the reason why we don't use it very often. The other part of this is if you're like in a different part of the instance, if you're like nowhere near the event when it happens, it still freezes time, and you still see the shaper pop up on your screen and do the stuff. You just don't have the context for it.
Right.
So we have to be kind of careful about how we use this because, excuse me, you are taking the player out of the action, and it can result in like bad experiences if you're too loose with it. But I know a lot of people really liked it, and I do want to use it more because it's cool.
Like an intro into an instance.
Well, not just that, but like specifically having the shaper affect bosses and stuff more would be cool to me.
Okay. There is the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because Max Payne had an interesting thing with their multiplayer and bullet time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how they?
I don't. But I played a game called The Specialist, which did some cool stuff as well.
Oh, how do they do it?
I think when you slow down time, it slows down time for everybody.
Ooh, that's rough.
And in multiplayer, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So the way Max Payne
it actually played well because the game was really fast paced.
The way Max Payne went about doing it was if Blake was to initiate bullet time and had you on your sights, you two would be in bullet time. But if I wasn't involved in this, if I wasn't in viewing distance of you guys, I could run around regular speed.
Oh wow!
But as soon as I entered your line of sight, or in view of your characters, I would be in bullet time.
Oh, so it would basically have a radius of bullet time around.
Well, it was based on a user view, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so if I saw you, or that thing play out, maybe it was like you guys had a bounding box around you, and then as soon as I viewed that bounding box, it actually started affecting me as well.
Wow,
interesting.
But I thought that was a really cool way.
That is a good solution. There are issues with that. So I think the Matrix MMO.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? Remember the Matrix Online?
I remember Matrix Online. I was talking about it just the other day about its end event when it finally shut down, and they because they're shutting down all the servers and the game was over. But they, for like I think a couple of weeks maybe, they had a big in-game event where it was like the Matrix was crashing and falling apart and getting all corrupted, and there were like all these like crazy things happening and eyeballs popping up in the sky and just things like crazy glitches all over the place. And it was like, this is pretty cool because it's like the end of the game and
Yeah.
the end of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that game was seriously problematic. Basically, you could get into like a bullet time fight thing.
Mhm.
I think there were two kinds of classes, basically. There's like the shooty class and the fighty class.
Mhm.
And if you're a fighty class, you'd get locked into like this one-on-one combat. But then a shooty class guy could walk over while you're locked into one-on-one combat in like slow motion and just shoot you.
Oh shit.
But the guys are in
there's
slow
nothing you
motion
can do.
fighting. You can't dodge that kind of stuff. The bullet.
No, because like the guy who's in the shooty class isn't bound to those rules.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the Max Payne solution is interesting to me, because they'd have to have been very carefully designed levels to prevent that sort of thing from happening.
Mm.
Like, you wouldn't be able to have a sniper in that, right?
No.
You can't have a big open field, because as soon as someone's outside of the range of this like effect, the balance breaks down, and no one's ever going to use that effect again.
Unless it was a physical bullet that then once it hit some
Once it entered the
bounding
bullet
box,
time,
it just went ooh.
yeah, that would be a way to do it. But at that point, like,
And you can walk up to it outside that box and be like, oh man,
you'd have
this
to.
bullet just hanging there.
You could be spraying the area with bullets
Yeah.
from afar.
Yeah.
And they all enter that bounding box, and there's just a wall of bullets drifting
Coming
towards
your
you.
way. Because
And
you
you
can
are-
just spray it
You are
superhuman
stuck in
speed.
slow motion, running away. So it
Sounds awesome.
Okay, sure. It's a very interesting. I should take a look at that. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Let's find a video of that and put it on Facebook. Right, Blake? No. All right. Let's answer one question from the email. This is from Rock Dog.
Rock dog.
Oh my god.
Hey, wait. Have we heard from Rock Dog before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is a second email.
Oh, fan of the show.
Yeah, fan
Rock
of the
Dog.
show. Rock dog.
And by the way, you can email us, frenzyquestions@gmail.com. You got some questions? Email us.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends about us.
Like
too.
Rock Dog did.
Some people told us that they told their friends. That was nice.
Yep.
We like that.
That was
That was cool. You can also tweet at us at FrontSeatCast. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/FrontSeatCast. You can go to our WordPress site, frontseatgamer.wordpress.com. Yep.
I think that's about it.
That's it. There's also iTunes. You should rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, rate us for sure on iTunes.
And then
Please.
email me $1. I don't know how you're going to do it, but email me $1.
What, just like a photocopy of $1? Like,
I don't know.
here's a PDF of $1?
I'm going to leave that open.
Yeah.
Email it. Email me $1. Yep, cool.
Cool.
So here's another question for you all. This is from Rock Dog. Following your discussion of Battlefield 1, which looks awesome, and the beta weekend, realistically, once the game is released for early access or open alpha/beta testing, how much tweaking and polish can actually be achieved? Is it restricted to more general game systems like menus and such, or can real change be achieved before impending release window? I assume Kickstarter/indie games can be potentially delayed and reworked a bit more easily than AAA titles with a fixed release date. But can feedback from a preview actually reshape a game? As a follow-up, do you feel, in general, these previews mostly help or hurt the sales of new games? Would a weekend beta of No Man's Sky have completely ruined its sales? I censored that one.
Blake's nodding.
This is not a question, but having listened to the 20-plus hours of Dan Carlin's World War I podcast, I am hyped as for BF1 despite not being an FPS fan. Cool. Yeah, it's cool that like history got you into a game.
Yeah, that's great.
To answer those questions, what do you? Let's hear from you guys first. Saveun, what do you think?
What do I think?
Do you think much can be changed from an early access alpha type thing, and do you think it's helpful
certain things are locked
or
in.
harmful for the sales?
Certain things are locked in.
Okay.
Like I don't know, for Battlefield. Like we've talked about this before. It's pretty much just server testing, right?
Yeah, it's basically just like QA, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like
I'm pretty sure it's
you're
just-
getting thousands of people on where you didn't have thousands of people on before,
Mhm.
and they're finding bugs and you're fixing them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that's pretty much how they used it.
Mm.
I think
Early access is something different, though, completely.
What was you probably know more about
Yeah,
early access games?
early access is, the game isn't finished,
Mm.
and
there's still more content.
Yeah,
being
they'll
added. Yep.
change things depending on feedback. Hopefully,
But usually, art style set in stone.
Right.
Whenever they show anything for it,
yeah.
characters, whatever. It depends on team size, I think, and how flexible the company is.
I think. I mean, from our experience, we did a closed beta for Act 4, right? Where we changed a fair bit of the balance. We were testing out the jewel system basically, and the jewel system, the rare mods, for example, in the jewel system were reworked, I think, a few times during the beta, and the unique jewels, we kind of realized which ones were broken, and we removed them.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
that was that some significant changes happened there, at least from a balance standpoint. There's also like changes to boss mechanics and stuff. Some skills were tweaked and stuff.
But that was done in more than just a weekend.
Yes, I don't think in the case of a beta weekend, they were almost certainly just stress testing servers.
Yeah.
They were load testing. They were saying what can we expect from the sales? How many servers should we actually get set up? And what does a failure case look like?
Also, it's advertising. It's
Yes,
Yeah,
if it's really
beautiful word of mouth, right?
If it's really good, like Battlefield, holy crap! The amount of people talking positive about a Battlefield game after that was
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
the roof.
because, I mean, it's straight up his word of mouth, because anyone that didn't get in there has all their friends saying how amazing it was. You're way more likely to buy it.
Yep. Yeah, so I think it really depends on how close to the planned launch it is, and how long the testing period is. Sometimes huge changes can happen. Like whole systems can be completely redone if enough time is planned for it.
Yep.
But if you're unsure, if you're planning that much time, and you're unsure about it, you probably haven't done enough internal testing, right?
How do you feel No Man's Sky would have done if they'd had a beta weekend?
Ooh,
Not well.
good question.
Yeah.
But that was a conscious thing. I feel like they knew that.
It's hard to tell. I reckon there might have been a lot of players in denial, going, "Oh, but it's just the beta weekend. By the time this actually comes out, they'll have an actual structure to follow.
They'll
have a game. They'll have a game.
They'll have a game in there. They'll put it in there.
Yeah.
Right now, they just haven't got the game in there.
Yeah.
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 Good answer.
I think we nailed it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're probably out of time. So if like I said, if you've got some questions, email us, frontseatquestions@gmail.com, or tweet at us at frontseatcast. Our Twitter is real sad. No, our YouTube is real sad.
Yeah, we have a YouTube. We don't really advertise it because I think you need a certain amount of subscribers before you can actually have a proper YouTube like URL.
Right.
Like right now we're like YouTube/4598776 blah 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 hash.
Yeah, but
pound.
I reserved that one.
Oh, okay. It's elite speak for Nick rules.
That has significant meaning for me, and I'm just not going to go into it. That's all. Yeah. You should check out our YouTube page because it's real sad. There was a video on there that had 1 view.
Yeah, it was probably me just checking to see if it worked.
It was almost certainly just check the link.
Yeah, I mean it's a secondary thing. It's fine.
If you can find us, I think it's Front Seat Cast on YouTube because Front Seat Gamer was taken.
Yeah, dude, Front Seat Gamer was taken.
You can go to facebook.com/frontseatcast and talk to us on there, and our WordPress, frontseatgamer@wordpress.com.
So also talking about like, no, I'm not going to say clown news.
Okay, cool.
I do have something.
About clowns?
Here we go.
Do you want to know about clown news?
Blake's say 3 minutes of
the clown minute.
mystery. Go for it.
All right, a hot clown minute.
I think I had one of those once.
It's pretty much died down. But we did actually get some clown news sent in from a listener.
Nice. Thank you.
It was kind of sad actually because it was about deaths.
Oh.
Clown deaths. One was I can't quite remember it. A kid in Germany got stabbed.
Oh,
jeez.
But the shocking one, the absolutely just
Wait, what?
the sad
That's
one.
not shocking?
That's shocking, but this one is
This is
more
bummer
shocking.
cast.
There
time.
was I can't remember what country it was. But some country that had like a sort of civil war in its past, and had a bunch of landmines in forested areas.
Yeah.
This American guy went there, I guess visiting relatives, I think, and thought it would be funny to chuck on a clown costume and scare people. The locals, people he tried to scare, weren't buying it.
Right.
And chased him off.
Okay.
He ran into a field,
jeez.
and the people started screaming at him to come back, come back,
Right.
come back.
Right.
And then he got blown up.
Yikes. That's not good.
Yep, it was terrible.
Tragic, dude.
So
Thanks for bringing the tone down.
yep. Hey man, this is just like clown news we got. So
I don't make the clown news. Okay,
I don't
I
make
just
it.
report it.
Yeah, this is just
Don't
this is just what
blame
happened.
me.
But there is also another thing. That's it for clown news.
Okay.
You can rest easy. There's another thing that me and Nick have been talking about, sort of, and I'm ambushing you, Saveun.
I know what this is.
And it's about YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe doing some YouTube-only content. But how would you feel if we had a YouTube series called I Hear It's Not Very Good, where
Where'd you get this title from? Wait a minute.
I don't know. Me and Nick make you play games that you have heard are not very good for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour,
Yeah.
and you, we get your reaction on them live, like in real
As we're
time.
playing.
And there's a camera on me and everything.
Yep, there's a camera on all of us.
I'm not into it.
I'm gonna dub this later. I'm into it.
I'm into it. Listeners, please tell us if
We're
you're
gonna
into it.
we're gonna
or not,
edit
if
the
you're-
word "not" out of that. Blake's gonna edit that.
I'll find a clip from like in
Yeah.
the past where he just says into it.
If people want to see this, because I'm a crowd pleaser, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah,
You're
email
showman.
us. Email friendsyquestions@gmail.com. Tell us if you would watch. I've heard that's not very good. It's the new YouTube series where Saveun plays great games that he thinks are not going to be good, and he's wrong.
Episode 1, The Witcher.
But I'll tell you what, one thing very visually driven.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, no, it's-
so
yep.
it'll be me pretty much looking at ground textures like for 20 minutes and commenting on
Well,
it.
you know what? If that's part
And
of
then Nick will be really
if that's part
I'm just
of
going
it,
to ask
really
you.
bored out
I'm
of
just
his
going to
mind.
ask you dumb questions.
Okay.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And
All right.
recommend some games too, because I'd like to veto some. And
wow.
well, because The Witcher's not a great game.
Wow.
That's why it's episode number 1.
Wow. This is going to be a great series. I have a good feeling about this.
Yep.
All right. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
How long have you guys been colluding? And
Just a couple days. Just a couple days.
I,
We just
I had
thought
the
about
idea and asked Blake if he thought it'd be funny. Blake thought
I was going to ask you about it, but then I thought, you know what?
ambush.
Ambush him on the podcast.
I didn't realize that was the plan.
No, I didn't even tell you that.
I was ambushed too.
Yeah.